Hi everyone, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. This is today's project. It's a fancy fold card which opens up just like that and then closes up again, and it's held more or less closed at the front with two hearts which we've decorated to look, I think, a bit like a bride and a groom. Very straightforward and easy to make, so please stay with me and I will show you how I did it. So I've got my piece of Whisper White cardstock, which is 11 inches by 5, and I've already scored it at 2.5 inches and 4 inches. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to score it at 2.5 inches and 4 inches again. And I'm going to zigzag fold it so that those edges meet in the middle. And here's my folded card, and I've gone in with my bone folder and run it over the creases so that they're nice and sharp and everything fits together nicely. And I've cut myself 2 pieces of Marina Mist DSP, and this is from our Subtles DSP stack. And I've cut these to be 2¼ inches by 4¾ and I'm going to stick them to the front panels. So I've got some snail. Line that up onto the front of my card, just like that. And I'm going to do the same to the other one. There we go, there's the front of my card. Okay, so first of all I did myself some die cutting, and I used this die which is from the Treat Bags Thinlets, and I used this die which is our Blooming Hearts die, and I cut the Blooming Hearts in Whisper White, and I'm going to be using that in a little while. And with the Treat Bags Hearts, nice sweetheart, I cut 2 in Whisper White, 1 in Basic Black and 1 in Blushing Bride. Now I am making this card for a bride and a groom, but if you were making it for a same-sex couple, then naturally you could make 2 grooms or you could make 2 brides. So I'm going to work on the bride first of all. So I'm going to put the Basic Black and the one of the Whisper Whites out of the way. And the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to give her a bit of a neckline. Because if I just cover that up with that, well, what was the point in having the Blushing Bride? I suppose you could do that. That would be quite nice. That's quite elegant, but I don't want to. I want to give it this a bit of a fancy neckline. One of the things I could have done, I could have come back in with my sweetheart punch, and I could have just cut away a little bit out of there. And it's a die, not a punch, but I am going to be using the Elegant Labels punch, and if I just bring my piece of card just in and just center it in the edge of the punch like that, and there I have a nice fancy neckline. Now I could leave it like that, you know, I have options, but for me it is still a little bit plain, so this is why I cut this piece out. And I'm going to I'm considering putting it on my hand. No, I should just spread a little bit of my Tombow glue onto my silicone mat. And I've got the piece that I've die cut, and I'm just going to blob some of it on the back there so that I have a nice cover in. And I'm going to decide how I want that to sit, and I think I want it like that. And press that down. And I'm going to leave that for a few seconds to dry because the glue is still tacky. But fortunately, I have one that I made earlier, and as you can see, you've got that lovely white on white effect, and since I've still got some glue on my mat, then I'm going to bring those two together, and that could probably do with a little bit more glue underneath it. It's coming adrift. Go. Better. And there's my beautiful bride with her beautiful lace wedding dress. Let's clear that out the way. And oh, I should have told you. Oh, I should have told you. When that is dry, I almost forgot to tell you. When this is dry, I'm just going to come in with my snips, and I'm just going to just snip around on the reverse, to snip around the edges of my heart, and just to release it. Nearly forgot to tell you about that. Duh, silly me. So just for now, I'm just going to chop that bit off because that is still a bit sticky. Just come back with my snips and just follow the line. Now you could try, you know, covering it before you cut out the neckline. I haven't done that because I wasn't quite sure whether or not it would be too much for the punch, because sometimes, you know, it's just that little bit too much. You should be okay with Whisper White though. You should be fine with that. Okay, there we go. So the glue's had time to dry now, so I'm just going to put one more finishing touch onto my bride's beautiful dress, and these are our metal rimmed pearls, and they are lovely. And I'm going to use one of the smallest ones. You get a few different sizes. I think it's 4 different sizes that you get, and I'm going to use one of the tiny ones. And they've got they're self-adhesive. They've got a little bit of a backing on there, which you just flick off. And I'm going to put that right in the center of her neckline, and there, I think she's ready. Alright, so for the bridegroom, I have my piece of basic black and my piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to start with my piece of basic black, and I'm just going to take my snips and I'm just going to cut down the middle line, but just not all the way, just about that far. Okay, now I'm going to get my embossing tool and a straight edge, which has completely disappeared for the moment. 1 second while I find a straight edge. Here it is. Okay, let's put that out the way. And I've got a silicone mat underneath, so it's giving me a little bit of squish. And I'm lining up the bit that I cut. See that? And I'm picking a point on the corner here, and I'm just lining those 2 bits together, and I'm just creating, I'm going to use the thin end, I'm just creating a fold line. And I want to match it on the other side, so about there to about there, and create a fold line. Okay, and there's the reverse of his jacket, and with my snips, just at the point where the curve meets the line I cut, I'm just going to cut a little triangle, and I'm going to match it, whoops, on the other side. It's not out of the way because the charm on my scissors keeps bumping into it and it keeps making a noise. And same thing again, just a little teeny tiny triangle. If I fold those lapels back, bring in my white shirt, there you can see the start of the groom's jacket is going to come together. Now, since I've got the wet glue handy, it doesn't need to be wet glue for this. You could use snail or, you know, whatever you had handy. But since the wet glue is here, that's what I'll use. So, pop that back up together. And of course the other good thing about wet glue is that it does give you a little bit of room for manoeuvre when you're wiggling around like that. Okay. And just a spot, I think. Just a spot underneath. It is just the teeny tiniest amount that's left on the nozzle, just to hold the lapels in place. I'm just going to sit there and hold that just for a few seconds. Now, my groom is going to need a bow tie, so for that I'm going to be using Marina Mist cotton ribbon, and I've got a fork from the kitchen. Now, there are lots and lots of bow makers on the market. All they are basically at bottom is a couple of straight posts that you can put at a set distance. Not many of them, or hardly any of them, will do something as small as the bow tie that I want for my groom here. So fork works just as well. Okay, so I've taken my Marina Mist and I've wrapped it round the fork. And this is the free end, and I'm going to take that over the top between the two middle tines of the fork, and I'm going to bring it back through underneath. I'm just going to move that up a bit to give myself room, and I'm going to post it back through there. And now I've got that, I'm just going to tie a bow, or tie a knot rather. And there is my little bow tie. Easy as that. So if I bring that back in and just trim off the ends, which I don't want. I'm using my paper scissors again instead of my ribbon scissors, so it's a bit more of a struggle than it should have been. And a nice dollop of wet glue on the back. And again, glue dot would have worked perfectly well, but since the Tombow was handy, do you know what, we'll use that. So pop that up, just get in there, get into place. I'm just going to hold that down for a few seconds while it sets. Now, while I was at the Big Shot with the Blossom, the Blooming Hearts die, I also cut out one of these small flowers, the smaller of the two, in the Marina Mist, and I'm going to use that for my groom's buttonhole. So let's pop that on there, and again with the wet glue. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to give him one of these. So let's give it a little pearl into the centre of my flower there. I'll pop that in while the glue is still wet. And there we are, he's looking very swish. So here are my bride and groom ready to go on to the front of the card, and I've just added a little one of our basics pearls, one of the teeny tiny ones, onto the groom's shirt to look like a button. And I just do want to make sure that you can see that the bride's bodice has got a lacy detail. I don't think it was coming over too well when I was actually filming it. Right, so now it's time to put them all together. So I'm going to be using some glue dots for this. And I want to make sure that the glue dots only go on one half of the heart. And we'll start with the bride. So putting 2 glue dots on there and just putting that on to the front of the card so that when it opens up, she moves that away. And the groom, I need to make sure that I put the dot on this side. The glue dots are getting away from me again. There. Okay. And there's my bride and groom on the front of my card. For the sentiment inside, I'm using this stamp from the Sweet Saying set. It says "Forever Begins Today." And I've got it already mounted up on my block. And I've got my Marina Mist ink. So I'm going to bring my card in. And I'm going to be very brave. And I'm going to stamp directly onto the card. So wish me luck. I want to make sure I've got it the right way up, because I have been known to stamp upside down. And I'm just going to center it into the middle. And that's not too dusty. Smudged it a little bit, but you won't hold that against me. Bearing in mind, here's the finished card, all ready to be given to the happy couple on their special day, with a special message inside. And I do hope very much that you have enjoyed this project, and if so, I would really love it if you'd leave me a comment. I do appreciate all of your comments, love all of them. And if you've liked it, please give me a like, click the like button. And if you'd like to see more of my tutorials, my videos, please do think about subscribing to the channel, because I will be posting more soon. I've got a blog and I've got a Facebook page, and you can find them from the links in the more information box below this video. And if you want to get hold of the materials that I've used to make this project and you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, well, there is a link to my Stampin' Up shop as well. I would love to have you as a customer. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.